Hello, I'm Cat Dave Geo. Welcome to the 73rd episode of Unifying Force. How is everybody?
I am doing well. I have survived the monsoon rain / tropical storm, whatever that has been through here, and sort of semi-recovered from the family vacation.
Yeah, I'm sitting here watching fires right across the canyon. As the smoke's taking over.
Oh.
Not far up north, it's got probably 450,000 acres already. And another one just broke out earlier today down a little further south. It says, yep, California summer.
I was watching even some friends of mine still live in western Wyoming, and the smoke from the fires there is really starting to kind of take over the valley and create huge haze over there. It's just like, whew.
Yeah, the other night I could actually see the flames on the actual cresting the canyon hill on the other side. It's kind of neat to see. But it's like, geez.
Yeah, neat to see.
Yeah, neat to see.
You know, you start
From a
thinking
safe
about
spot.
throwing some steel books in a box there, Cat.
It's like, oh yeah, nice family vacation, but no, back to California summer.
Yes. Yes. I think we got a huge break and respite too. For the family vacation, of course, in California. I think we really had some really nice weather for it. While we were there, it was not the heat and oppressiveness that they had the weeks before, and I thought it was rather nice and pleasant. Definitely a pleasant break from the humidity and the junk over here. But yeah, so today we're gonna talk about the family vacation part 2, all the things there, and I don't know, maybe it'll convince some of our viewers here that they need to be on the next one. Is watch out for family vacation 3. Is we really probably won't do anything next year because celebration will be the family vacation. But as much fun as I think was had, I think we got to put together another one of these.
Oh yeah, the family vacations are great. I would add definitely some not so virtual meetups as well, to be free of the bar. Scum and Villainy is cool, but it's fun, but it can be very loud, especially when the karaoke starts. You can't hear yourself talk. And a lot of the core members from the Tuesday Cantina were staffing the events, so you didn't really get to hang out with them as much.
Yeah,
which was like a bit disappointing, but it was still pretty neat, pretty fun to meet up with everybody.
But let's get into it. Let's talk about the kind of things that there were. And Geo, break in if you have any questions, because of course Kat and I were on different parts of the vacation, some overlapping and some not. But Geo is got the FOMO. Geo's sitting over there on the other side of the pond, going like, "Damn it, no!"
Just seeing these photos flood through, seeing these comments come in, feeling like I'm outside of some of these jokes, but no, it's really good to feel the enthusiasm and to feel the positive energy that everyone gets around these sorts of things. It's almost like the world's still getting used to hanging out in physical spaces again, in places that maybe we were all kind of more familiar with hanging out before. So I think anytime you get a coming together of people, no matter the number, I think it's always gonna get you that kind of fun chemistry going that you can only really experience in person as opposed to behind the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just, I guess, however you guys want to talk me through it chronologically.
All right. Well, I started the vacation a little early, so I guess I'll start. It just so happens that this year is the family vacation just kind of butted right up to the scheduled time, the tail end of San Diego Comic-Con. So, if I'm rolling all the way out across the country to California, is an hour and a half ride from LA, Anaheim to San Diego. It had to be done. So I started my vacation the Wednesday of San Diego Comic-Con. I had tickets for all the days. And let me just tell you, this is the first time I've ever been to San Diego Comic-Con. I've been to some big Comic-Cons, but San Diego is the mother of them all. It was crazier than I expected. I think exactly what you're talking about, Gio, is people are getting used to being back in physical spaces. We don't have the Hollywood strike to worry about this year. Is that's not on. So Comic-Con was back in full force. I mean, starting the Wednesday night, only with the preview night, the con floor was just wall to wall people. There's so much to see. Again, I was there for all the days, and I will guarantee you that I did not see every inch of that con floor even. But it was pretty cool. I won some of the Portal choices, and I got to go shopping at Hasbro right there on my first night. And I got the Star exclusive. They had an exclusive Darth Maul on the speeder, from the Phantom Menace, where he just comes in and tries to run over Anakin. Is in a really, really nice, silly package, really cool box. I liked it a lot. And it worked relatively well. As if you time your thing right, I didn't wait, and when I got there were like super long lines for the Hasbro booth, but I just kind of circled the floor a couple times, checked out what was there, and came back, walked right up, showed them my little QR, and it's like, boom, you're in. Like, okay. Got that, and then I got they had an exclusive G.I. Joe figure as well, so got those things. I just, the thing about San Diego that I didn't expect, and if any of you guys are ever planning on going, is in order to shop these exclusives, these shops and things, to get a lot of this stuff, a lot of it's luck of the draw. It's like for Celebration that you have to win to win a lottery to get in the panel. You have to win a lottery to shop at a lot of these shops. And I mean, that's the price of the exclusives, but that was something that just struck me as odd. Is you got to get the privilege to shop at the shops, and is what it is. But yeah, the first couple of days there is I was kind of like on my own. Is I didn't ever run into any of the other virtual Cantina family. There were a few who were there for all the other days as well, but my Thursday, I purposely ran into. I went to the booth where Emily Swallow was signing, and had really nice conversation with her. Got a really cool autograph. She was signing at the EFX props booth, because she was only there for like the one day, and then ironically flew back all the way across the coast to go to my local big Comic-Con, is GalaxyCon Raleigh, where she spent the rest of the weekend. It's like, no, I'm going to San Diego. She's no. But at least it did get to overlap for that little bit, and I got to see her. Leilani Shu, total friend of the channel, was there. They had a 12-inch scale Jawa figure that I think was Diamond. It was at the Diamond booth, but so they were putting that out, an exclusive, like one of 750 limited edition ones, and she was there signing them every day. So I got to see her a couple of times and hang out. So it was nice that there were VC people there. Managed to get into the Hall H for the 25th anniversary of SpongeBob panel. You think it's like, what? Wait, no. But then, of course, I posted this on the page. Mark freaking Hamill shows up at the SpongeBob panel. We're in the room going like,
how did you feel about that?
Crap. I'm sitting there like texting my fingers off, like going to people. I'm putting it in the
How,
chats. And
how
this.
close were you to the front?
So, I was probably more than halfway back, maybe 2/3 of the way back. So a ways. Hall H seats, I think, about 6,500 people.
Wow.
But they did it. They had it arranged, and they do it really well with a lot of really big screens. So you can see pretty good detail and everything that's going on. So, we had Tom Kenny and Clancy Brown and all the classic people, but Mark Hamill's going to be playing a voice role in the fourth, I think it's the fourth SpongeBob movie. So he was on and goofing around, and we all just were like, very, very cool kind of thing. So got some other panels, some things. There's some disappointments. I didn't get into the Deadpool Wolverine showing. There was that. This is the thing that struck me.
Are these all lotteries as well? Like, aside from the shopping, is it always like an online lottery?
The Deadpool Wolverine was a completely separate kind of lottery, which I had won. I had my pass on my phone. They sent me an email saying, hey, you get in, line up after a certain time. The line was probably literally 2 miles long. Literally 2 miles long outside. We lined up at like, supposed to line up at 4. I lined up at like 4:20, 4:30, and was like a mile and a half back in this line. Whew.
Yikes.
Hours of waiting to not get in. I don't know what happened. There, suspicions, allegations, things, and this and that, but there were thousands upon thousands of people in the line that did not get into this panel. So for whatever reasons, it doesn't. We got conciliatory like pins, but everybody who got in got that as well. We got, pins, and we got, our popcorn buckets.
Oh, that's a big guy right there.
Yes. But didn't get in to see it. Is the thing. It's like it was
everybody who had a verified ticket who wasn't allowed in should automatically be granted access to the next Hall H exclusive next year.
Yep.
Priority VIP seating. Something
coulda, shoulda, something been done. Is like I said, I don't know. It, real world kind of things was the con itself in charge of this? Was this a separate thing done by Marvel? It being kind of the last kind of almost after hours panel late in the day, but I don't know who was responsible. I don't know what went wrong. I know it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths that we were selected for this experience and we did not get in. There was ugliness in the line when people were turned away, that I tried to steer clear of most of, but yeah, it was not pretty. And I'm sure there are people have been in constant contact with people in charge of this already. And it's just like, look, but Hall H is a whole other thing and an experience too, is they're not doing everything the way that Celebration does now. They're still on the overnight campouts. Like when I was in line for the Thursday Hall H, there are people lined up already for the Friday. There are people already just sitting there waiting to either stay in their lounge chairs and stuff all night long, or get yourself a wristband at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night to come back at 6, 7 a.m. the next day to be able to get in. So like I said, I found myself pretty fortunate that on the Thursday I got in the line and I waited in the line for an hour or two, hour and a half, 2 hours, and was able to get into that SpongeBob panel and a couple of subsequent panels after that. So San Diego on the whole, you got to do. So if you have never done it, You got to do it. You got to do it at least once. I think I'm not saying I will never go back to it, but I don't think it's a thing that I need to do every year. And that might be different if I lived closer, but I don't think it's a con that I think I would need to see every year, simply because GalaxyCon Raleigh, that I would be giving up to go there, which I think is going to be the same weekend again next year, I get to go do pretty much what I want to go do. If there's a panel, I get to go get in it. If there's a shop I want to go to, I get to go in it. If there's a signer, because a lot of the signing events were portal kind of things too, is you couldn't go see that signer unless some of them weren't. I saw some really great signers there. I met Nathan Hamill, Mark Hamill's son, who does a really cool comic that he's collecting and putting out in a book. Like I said, I saw Leilani Shu and Emily Swallow. I saw Kevin Eastman of the Ninja Turtles. Ashley Eckstein was there at a booth signing. I won a portal to see the new voice actors for the new Masters of the Universe cartoon show that's coming out. Sergeant Slaughter was there. You guys all know that I'm a huge fan of the Sarge. Is seen him multiple times. So Keone Young, the voice of Storm Shadow in the original G.I. Joe TV show, and also a voice from Star Wars cartoons. So yeah, there's a ton to see and do, but it's a different kind of thing, and the camping out overnight to get into your hall and your panel was not something that I was currently willing to do. But I did super enjoy the Saturday. The Saturday of the con, we had some of our virtual Cantina family that came in, some more that I did get to see. I met up with Spencer Jowitz and Mark Von Olen, some of our other show hosts. And as soon as like the three of us got together, we were rolling around the con floor, and it was just like, oh, hey, there's this. And hey, he meet this person. We met friend of the show and Star Wars actor Chris Bartlett, got to talk to him for a while. We met Diana Leon Santo. We just happened to go by the 501st booth and she's there. So, there's a lot of cool things happening and things going on at San Diego Comic-Con, and I advise anybody to go check it out if you get an opportunity. And that kind of brings us up to did that all the way to the Sunday, and then Sunday afternoon, evening is headed up to no more northern Southern California, if that makes any sort of level of sense. So, and I think that's where you kind of joined the vacation there, Kat. Did you go see Deadpool at the?
Yeah, we went up to the Hollywood to Grauman's to go see Deadpool, and Mike and I were walking around, looking up and down the Walk of Fame, saw the El Capitan, the Roosevelt Hotel. We walked down over to where the Capitol Records building is. And he's like, yeah, this is like the only nice stretch of Hollywood. The rest of it's pretty seedy. You don't want to go any further east or west of there. And I started looking, I'm like, yeah, I know they filmed this here or that there, kind of looking around, but we didn't have time to go look at all of that. A lot of people, when they got to the front of Grauman's, they were looking at the R2 and 3PO prints. Mm-hmm. I was looking at the cooler ones like Cary Grant and Jimmy Stewart and Mary Pickford, and ones from like a century ago. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm taking all these pictures of that. Met up with Spencer and everybody at Hard Rock, and I'd never been to Grauman's before. I've heard that it's a place that you absolutely have to go inside because they've renovated it to make it look like it did when it opened, a total movie palace. It even had some stuff on display, like a Darth Vader costume from Empire Strikes Back. What I think was the Terminator's jacket from T2 Judgment. It didn't have a label on it, but I think that was probably it because it had bullet holes and stuff. Man, you walk in there and you see that just the huge curtains, all the Chinese gondoliers, and it was great to see that movie with a group because I'd already seen it twice by then. And it was like, it was really funny. It's like, okay. Monday is when we did the first real group event where we met outside the Academy Museum. And at first, I didn't really understand what the point was in going here because I thought, why are we going here? It turns out that the reason we were supposed to go there in the beginning was because they knew they were going to have the Dijksterflex camera on display, in which Richard Edlund, John Dykstra, and John Knoll were going to be there giving a demonstration, talking about it. But there was some type of scheduling. I don't know if it was on the Academy side, if it was on our side, but that exhibit ended the day before we arrived. They knew that was the reason that like all 70 or 80 of us came there. So to compensate, they let us do the Oscars experience for free, which is usually a separate fee, where you get to go backstage at the Oscars and you get to walk out on this mock stage of the Dolby Theater where they have a legit Oscar from 2020 that was never inscribed. And it weighs 8.5 pounds. And you get to pick the thing up and you get to.
It's heavy because I was
heavy.
That thing up.
I'm picking that thing up. And you hear audio of like the audience clapping and stuff, but it doesn't record audio because they shoot a video. So they're like, yeah, just ham it up like you've won your Oscar or whatever. I'm like, yes, this is for all the movies I shot in film school and everything that fell apart afterwards. And you give them your email right up front, so you instantly get the video email right after. So that was neat. Mike and I were excited to go to the Academy Museum, and I was going to go down even if it weren't for this trip, simply because they had the John Waters exhibit, which closed on August 4th. Yes. John Waters, Pope of Trash, and that was a really cool exhibit. And Mike literally took pictures of every single placard and every single thing. And he was like steering over on one side of the exhibit, kept zooming through. I'm like, Mike, you missed the entire half. He's like, where? And I take him around. And oh, God, they had everything in there. It was so cool. Costumes, movie props, a mock trailer from Pink Flamingos that you could do your little photo ops in, the electric chair for Female Trouble, the little baby carriage design from the Fishwells for polyester. They had all sorts of cool things you could do. You could dance on a mock TV studio for Hairspray and see yourself on the camera being played back, and that was kind of neat.
My daughter was mortified when she said, "Oh, you're supposed to dance at that night." And I sat there and it's like, "Just wait." And I started doing the Saturday Night Live, and she was like, "No."
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever. Yes, I knew it as soon as I said it. I was thinking about that because Saturday Night Live's got that new movie that's coming out here soon.
Oh, that's right. And then, so like we started from the top down. I'm not sure. I guess the rest of the group started from the first floor up because I was with Mike, Kareen, and Jeff, and Bruce, and we all started at the top and worked our way down. And because of that, we didn't really see anybody else. I think my favorite part of the exhibit was actually the one where you get to see all the classic stuff, like the original alien mask worn by Balaji Badejo on Alien. One of the very rare surviving spaceship props from 2001 Space Odyssey, because Kubrick ordered them all destroyed at the end of the film. One of the original Gremlins puppets, and they only have the top half, so you could look behind and see how they actually puppeteered for when it'd be in the cabinets and stuff like that, which is neat.
Yeah, not the cute Gremlins, post like eating.
Oh, no, the Gremlins, not the Mogwai, the Gremlins. They had some stuff from Force Awakens, like Finn's bloody helmet and the melted Darth Vader, the remains of the Darth Vader helmet, and 3PO.
The animatronic, the puppeted porgs that you could actually like see the stuff inside of them and what was making the little cuteness, what making them move around.
They had the Barbasol cam with the DNA vials from Jurassic Park.
Awesome.
They had the spaceships and alien mock-ups from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Oh. There it is.
The non-replica. Non-replica
original. That was great. So that was definitely my, Thor's hammer, Cap shield, Iron Man's mask. That was my favorite exhibit, but I think it was a little dark in that room. Like the lights could have been a little bit brighter so you could see some of the props a little bit better. And then you got to go into the next section where they had like the doors from Rick's Club in Casablanca, Rick and Sam's piano from Casablanca, the typewriter that they wrote Psycho on.
Well, that was the section where I realized that I have failed as a parent because I had to explain to my daughter what Casablanca was and why it was in. It's like, oh, that can't be a good movie. It's in black and white. I can't. Oh, sweetie, no.
I have the 4K that I got last year. It's a beautiful transfer. The severed head from The Godfather.
Yes. The prop horse's head.
Yeah, the prop horse's head, Brando's
teeth. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
The Brando's teeth that he wore to get the voice right, and the neon sign from the Lewis's Italian restaurant where Michael kills the guys who tried to kill his dad, and
a ton of the costumes from
a lot of costumes from a lot of movies. They had James Dean's costume from Giant. They had a neat Emperor Prussia hat from 1928 from Eric von Stroheim film that he actually wore when he cameoed in it. I'm like, damn, that is amazing that they have that, you know. Some stuff from Titanic, costumes. They had Ingrid Bergman's bounded script from Casablanca there.
Yeah.
So that was
cool.
So that was a really cool to see that type of exhibit.
And
that's all inside the Academy Museum.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And a wide variety of different things as well, from all sorts of genres, like we were talking about, from Titanic to Casablanca to The Godfather to original cells or production drawing, original cells from the anime Akira, original production drawings from Wall-E, some of the sheet music and stuff from the Merry Melodies, the Bones cartoon, the
skeleton one, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But they had all of the original character maquettes from Pinocchio from 1940, and they had Frank Thomas, one of Disney's original 9 old men. They had his desk that he worked at for 47 years, his animation desk there, and that was just really neat to see. They had a cutaway stop motion animation set from Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and it shows you how they actually go through the process of doing stop motion animation, which is pretty cool. There's a wide variety. They even had a little exhibit for Pedro Almodovar that was on display, but that one was mostly posters and watching short videos or clips from each.
Something that I assume was probably a replica or an alternate. I didn't ever see a plaque for it to know what it was. Bruce the Shark from Jaws that you're wearing.
Yeah, they had that hanging in the hallway, and I'm not sure if that was a real one or not. Probably a replica, because I'd imagine there would have been a placard to.
Yeah, I've got to imagine that the original, at least the ones I've seen, had like a lot of hydraulic stuff in there to make it.
Yeah, and the original looked more banged up, I think, by the time they finished it. That looked more like a big fiberglass mock-up or something, but still cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bruce the Shark. So the Academy Museum was great. Oh, and a Star Wars adjacent thing I did on Sunday afternoon before we went to Hollywood was we went to the Reagan Presidential Library in City Alley because
pictures were great.
Todd Fisher had loaned out a lot of Carrie's souvenirs from Star Wars there because they were doing a funny exhibit about Reagan Star Wars versus the movie Star Wars, and they had Leia's original dress from A New Hope, the one that failed to sell at auction, and they had the Slave Leia costume. They had the original land speeder that they bought from Elstree Studios, and it's funny, you look up close at these things, and it's not just that they're 50 years old. They look really flimsy and cheap compared to professional fan cosplays and mock-ups, It's like, wow, that's movie magic to make that stuff really pop and look so much better on screen.
Well, and here's another family vacation connection to that is the Leia metal bikini was restored by one of our guests for Bunta San Francisco. I was talking to her about that. Lauren Vogt is the one who she's been restoring a bunch of costumes, and that would be one of them is Leia's original metal bikini.
And they had the original camera, the special effects camera they used to film the Death Star explosion in the original movie. That was on display there. So that was kind of neat to see. And then they had
How
a lot.
Big or small is that now compared to modern day cameras?
Yeah, well, that camera's huge. I couldn't believe it. My God, you have the huge rig. The camera's on one side, and you have the massive. It's shaped almost like a horseshoe because you have the huge camera, the extra rig, and the effects big on the other side, and it's massive. They had Leia's original pistol that she uses in the beginning of the movie, so that was neat to have some of that stuff there. They even had stuff from Hardware Wars. The Cookie Monster puppet from whatever the Chewie, whatever that character was called. I keep forgetting the Chewbacca substitute from Hardware Wars, and
a
couple other things, but that was neat. The Academy Museum was cool, and then after that,
we missed the most important part of Monday.
What's that?
We just glossed over it. That's the first time you and I had ever met in person.
It is. I recognized right when you were walking in. I was like, "That's Dave."
Exactly. Yeah.
Dave.
We've been doing this show for 3 years, and we had never met face to face before the Academy Museum on the Monday.
Yeah, that was great.
What a place to meet as well.
Indeed.
I know, and it's really
historic.
Neat. They have a this outdoor deck on the 5th level, but from the outside, it looks kind of like one of those Trade Federation core balls. Because even the top, the way the deck is open, is still curved, just like it. I'm like, this looks just like the one in Revenge of the Sith on Utapau. So cool. And then you go out there and take pictures. You can see the Hollywood sign, Griffith Observatory, and the Getty way over on the other side. So that's kind of neat. But yeah, once we all went in the museum, it's like everybody kind of disappeared and went in their own direction. I'm like, wait, what happened to Dave and Mark and Spencer? And everybody just kind of vanished.
It was what you said. Is you guys went all the way to the top. We started at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
I was going around with my family and doing my best to explain to my daughter the significance of a lot of these things. The coolest thing I think she saw was, oh, look, it's like the costumes from the Titanic. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
It is historic still, but
it is. It's like, way back from the
shinier, newer
1990s. So then Mike, Kareen, Bruce, and I went to Little Ethiopia, a few blocks away for lunch, and then we came back and went to the Peterson Museum. And it was funny because just as we were about to buy our tickets, Spencer texts Mike and is like, I need a box of stuff from your car, and you need to drive it up to Bunta in Hollywood. And if it had been 5 minutes later, Mike would have said no because he would have already bought the ticket for the Peterson. I'm like, damn it. Yeah. So then Kareen, Bruce, and I just went through the Peterson Auto Museum, and that was so cool to see all the cars they got there. And I didn't even know they had the movie exhibit. To round the corner, my God, there's the Michael Keaton Batmobile from screen used in the first two movies, like nice and shiny and beautiful, and the DeLorean from Back to the Future all decked out still. One of Zhao's souped up Jaguar from Die Another Day. They had the Knight Rider from the old Knight Rider TV show, the Shelby Cobra 350 from the Gumball Rally, Rusty Ryan's Falcon from Ocean's 11, and the stuff after that, like Tony Stark's Hot Rod from the Iron Man movies, and so a lot of cool things to see in there, and just the cars in general are just like amazing. So I'm really into that. They even had a Formula One exhibit where you get a simulator. You get to sit in the seat, and you work. They're like, ignore the emergency brake, just use the regular brake pedal and the gas, and here's the steering wheel. Now the seats didn't rumble or anything, but we were driving and we all sucked. It was just terrible. He's like, this is really hard to try and stay on track and drive. I think I technically won amongst the three of us because I at least made it to lap 2. None of us finished the 5 laps we were supposed to finish for the simulation because we just sucked.
And the location itself was amazing, and like it's a location that has appeared in movies. Is my family and I had just watched before that is Anne Heche and Tommy Lee Jones's Volcano, which takes place right along that strip of Fairfax in the Museum Row. So, just a couple blocks up from Stanley Avenue, and the Academy Museum is literally 2 buildings down from the La Brea Tar Pits.
You have Peterson Museum, then the Academy Museum literally right next door across this tiny alley-sized street.
Yeah.
And then the La Brea Tar Pits Museum, but the rest of the Tar Pits proper are further down in the opposite direction. But the little museum is there. And so it's like boom, boom, boom right there. It's like, that's cool. And then they have a Museum of Modern Art that we didn't go to, but that was also in between La Brea and the Academy Museum. Mike's like, look, there's that huge boulder and you can walk underneath it. And I'm like, Mike, that is a long way to walk just to walk under a boulder. So we didn't do that. But then so after the Peterson, we split up and drove up to Hollywood to go to Scum and Villainy Cantina. I had never been there before. It was really cool to see that totally, decked out Star Wars bar. I didn't know it had Lord of the Rings stuff in there too, but it does.
Yes.
Really?
Props on the walls. Yeah, you go out through you go through the tunnel at the back towards the back, and it becomes like the walls decked out to look like stones, and you see like a cave troll's head mounted on the wall, and then you get to the back patio, and they painted the back wall of the adjacent building to look like the Shire, and built the entrance to Bilbo's like hobbit hole with a little mock roof with the moss and the door you could take pictures at. But that little tight back space is where we had all the talent for, or most of the talent for Bunta.
Has expanded to be a little bit more than just a Star Wars bar. It's kind of just a geek bar. The main bar is like the Cantina from A New Hope. But like Kat was saying, the back alley and the back seating area where they do special events and things, that's the Shire. The front alcove where we were doing merch and we had some vendors and the Skywalkers were hanging out, that's Star Trek themed.
Mhm.
So we're sitting there and looking at like the listing of the events, including our event, the Bounty Eve, on like the L cars display from Star Trek: The Next Generation, and we're like, wait, that's wrong. Just
Which is why we made sure to hand out these buttons that said, "Friends don't let friends talk about Trek." Yeah, I met a lot of people there for the first time that I hadn't seen before, like from the group, that is.
yes.
They had some pretty good food there too, which was nice. I went out back and I met Chris Bartlett. I didn't get his autograph. He said hi and talked for a bit on his way out. Same with Taylor Gray, and I did get a picture and autograph from Katie O'Brien, not because of Star Wars.
Taylor wasn't one of our guests. Was Taylor just there?
Or maybe it wasn't Taylor Gray. It was, what's his name? No, I'm sorry, not Taylor Gray. The other guy. I get him confused. The guy who voiced the lead in Resistance.
Oh, Christopher Sean.
Christopher Sean, that's his name. Yeah, he kind of looks similar. But yeah, I talked to him for a bit. And I got Katie O'Brien's autograph. I forgot she was in Star Wars.
Yeah.
It was Mandalorian season 3, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met her and got her photo and autograph because I absolutely loved her in Love Lies Bleeding that I saw earlier this year. And so we just talked about that for a few minutes.
Katie's been huge because Katie wasn't Mando. Katie was in Andor.
Oh, was it Andor? I mean, was it?
No, she was in Mando season 3.
That's right. It was
the Andorian episode.
The Andorian episode of the one with Dr. Pershing and and who was he was there too, as was the Nelson Lee, who plays the really incompetent New Republic senator or whatever. I didn't stay back there very much because it was kind of really jam packed in tight a bit. It was funny because Skip was manning the back door and he didn't realize that there was that huge poster of Skip Ruckle right next to him for something.
So Gio, you would appreciate this because while we didn't go to London and we haven't had the pleasure of meeting you in person, you've met Skip in person.
Yeah.
Okay. So Skip is kind of hanging out at the back door there. There was like a little step down. He's making sure people don't trip and things, and he's just kind of watching and helping out back there. Well, Skip's construction company is also one of the sponsors for Boonta Eve. So with sponsorship comes like a 2-foot by 5-foot banner. And so it's Skip. It's like a, like a 3/4 size scale version of Skip on the banner, but Skip as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
So he's standing in front of it the entire night and doesn't realize it.
That was really funny.
Who pointed it out to him? Well, at what point?
I think it was like 2+ hours in that somebody pointed it out, and I don't remember exactly who it was.
That was really funny. But that cantina is really great. There were people there playing Sabacc. I met the Skywalking Through Neverland, Richard and Sarah up front, and they're like, "We thought we met you already. Don't you have one of our books?" Right? No, I've never met you before. And they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, that kind of happens." So that was a fun night. It got really loud once the karaoke started. So
we tried to talk, and we're sitting at a table for a while there, and it was just like I can't hear a word you're saying. Yeah.
And at that point, I went out back because the talent was gone by then. Well, some of them left for a while, I guess, to go out to dinner, and then they started coming back to hang out.
Some of them had been hanging out in the front, and people were doing some selfies and stuff in front of our step and repeat. Speedy was there, the land speeder, the little 12-volt kitty ride-on land speeder that was made famous by the cast of the Ahsoka show. Is riding it around. So that's been restored, and that was brought in there, and we got Missy Rosas like riding that right down Hollywood Boulevard.
And we had a huge virtual Cantina banner out front on the street too. That make it looks more like an official event where you take your photos. And I think it was Misty who was out there doing the lightsaber battles with people.
There were a lot of people out there. We had people in cosplay. There was Captain Rex cosplay. There was another, I think.
There was one that was Tarful who was really cool.
yeah, we had a giant Wookiee cosplay hanging around doing that.
Han Solo cosplay, which is pretty good.
There's a Han Solo and a Leia cosplay. Those are friends of Spencer's, members of the group, and there was some idiot who was like cosplaying Dave Filoni there for some reason. but
that was
taken around and like hidden, and Spencer was trying to like get some of the talent who work for Filoni to like do a double take and go, "Oh, are we in trouble? The boss is here."
That was cool though. And then I met up with I sat in the booth, talked with Kevin and Tracy for a while. They signed their book for me that I brought with me, which is the only Star Wars thing I brought with me on the trip.
So that's the next day. You're skipping ahead now.
No. I did that at the first boot to Scum and Villainy. They were sitting in
Scum and Villainy.
And I already had the book, and so I brought it with me and got it out, and they signed it while we were sitting in one of the booths there. And they were fun to hang out with because they were sitting there like most of the whole night, so that was cool. The next day, this next morning, Mike and I and Kareen, first it was just Mike and I. We went to Disneyland. A lot of people did DCA this day. I didn't because I didn't get the park hopper ticket because for me personally, there's not enough in DCA that I like to be worth spending the extra money on it. And there's so much in Disneyland. And I figured with it being summer, really peak hours of how long the lines were going to be, I figured you'd have a better chance of hitting everything if I went Disney on both days. So I just did Disneyland. And we were supposed to have breakfast with
enjoyed Avengers Campus, though.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but bad, mediocre things about Avengers Campus. They're like, wait till the Quinjet exhibit is there.
I agree with that as well. There
character meetups are in this really narrow block, and it gets really crowded, so there's not much space. But I don't know. I'll do that eventually once they finish Avengers Campus.
It's a work. I will say good things about Web Slingers. I rode Web Slingers for the first time. That was really nice. The kind of shows where you have the characters come out were pretty cool. And Pym's Test Kitchen, their little Ant-Man themed little small food, super giant food. I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, so it was cool. Like when Mike and I went into Disney, we were supposed to go to a character themed breakfast at Grand California with Joanna and Mark Van Olen, but Joanna and Mark went, and Mike and I didn't because Mike had entered us in the virtual queue because Haunted Mansion was reopening that day with the Haunted Mansion overlay, which I'd wanted to see for 20 years and never seen it. And that lucked out. That kind of worked out for me because Mike and I weren't really going to eat a big breakfast that morning anyway. I generally don't eat when I go into the parks. So we went straight to Haunted Mansion. That was awesome. And when I walked eventually we made our way over to Galaxy's Edge, and like part of me from walking over there was like a little tired, but I'm looking at it. I'm like, what's really cool about it is that no matter where you are in Galaxy's Edge, you can't see the rest of the park. Like you're totally like all the entrances, you go down into this dip, like a tunnel that come up on the other side, and they have it blocked with trees and boulders. The design aesthetic of it, I would say it's kind of like Tatooine without the sand, like these adobe buildings with the, same industrial cables. And because of that general industrial design, they have a lot of air conditioners built in, which is really nice. I walked right when we walked in. I went over to through the marketplace, and Mike's showing me a bunch of stuff. I met Mandalorian and Boba Fett, who were walking through. And Mike's like, "Man, you usually don't have this many cosplayers around." And we went on Rise of the Resistance, and Kareen managed to meet up with us right as we were getting close to entering the first chamber, where you start going through the major parts of the queue, and that. I had no expectations for what Rise was. I deliberately avoided all reviews of it. I had no idea what it was even. And I was like, that was just blew me away. It's like, yeah, it'd be better if it was original trilogy themed, but it's still pretty badass. I'm
impressed that you have avoided spoilers for this long.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? I'm not going to look it up. I don't want to see the ride-through version. Same as Smuggler's Run. I didn't read about that. I only heard Smuggler's Run wasn't as. I mean, yes, you had little. We did single rider for that first because the line was really long. And if you're a single rider, that means you're going to end up as an engineer. And we had these two little kids piloting, and they weren't any good. But it wasn't as bad as I was led to believe. Initially, I was told that if you don't have a good pilot, it's going to be a terrible experience. You're just going to be crashing into everything, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that bad. It autocorrects, and the autocorrect is actually pretty seamless, so it doesn't feel like you're autocorrecting. It feels like you're still flying, it doesn't feel like a glitch. But I was like, because they weren't doing anything because they were little kids, I was put to work on those engineer panels. I just hit everything. So I got a score of 100% for my job as an engineer by the end of it. But that was pretty fun. So we basically spent the rest of Tuesday at Disney with just me, Mike, and Kareen hitting pretty much all of the attractions. And I didn't know that when we lined up for Matterhorn that Mike specifically requested we go on the rougher side. I'm like, thanks, Mike. And because he's like, I'm like, why did you want it? Because apparently the left track is a lot rougher than the right, which is a lot smoother. And I asked him after we got off, because we did single rider for that as well. I'm like, Mike, why did you request the rougher side? He says, well, because there's one extra dip, so it's more exciting. And I got off that thing, and I'm like, Mike, that was like Fight Club the ride. He's getting beat up on that thing. God. I had intended to go back and ride it at night on one of the two, but I didn't end up doing it because no. But did Star Tours. That was okay. I get a little dizzy on that, so I only went on that once. Space Mountain is just a thrill. Yeah. We left the park at probably 6:30. Had shish kebabs at Bengal Barbecue across from Indiana Jones. So that was good. And then we probably got to Biggs around 7:30, I'd say. And I walked in and I told myself I'm not going to get anything, but then I got Craig Miller's 2 books, and I got I betrayed my Star Wars instincts. When I got Kevin to sign, I didn't get him to sign Ewok related things. I got him to sign this.
Nice.
He wrote to Catherine, "Stop drinking paint," Kevin Thompson. That is an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Kevin plays a pickpocket who's been targeting the bar. And I love that in the episode, they never explain the logic as to why he goes down to the basement and gets caught in Charlie's glue trap. It just randomly happens. And that was hilarious. But I'm like, oh my God, I have to have that one signed. And we got a picture of them, and that was great. Met a lot more people at Biggs, got to hang out with them. Again, the karaoke part was really loud once that started, but by the time we got there, since most of the talent was on its way out, the bar, that side of the restaurant was clearing out, so you could kind of sit down and hear yourself and have a conversation. So that was hung out with Frank. It was funny because when I met Frank on Sunday night, he didn't register who I was when we were meeting outside Groundman's. He's like, huh? I'm like, Frank! And he's like, oh! And it took him a while because he hasn't been in Cantina for a couple of years. So that was
absolutely.
That was really fun.
Is Biggs was super cool. Is less guests than Scum and Villainy, but still some really cool guests. I was impressed that we had Aiden Barton, who played Baby Luke and Baby Leia, showed up with like rare figures, like for people to be able to purchase and sign. He had a 2-pack of figures of actually technically a 4-pack. He had Obi-Wan holding Baby Luke, and he had Bail Organa holding Baby Leia, packaged in all those figures with a comic, and it's super rare. And then some other ones, and then he got, this was the biggest fun, is I got him to sign. He had a figure of pregnant Padme. And he so he signs it both, and it's like a big old arrow to her belly. It's like there.
That's funny.
He was cool, and Tux, and I am so sorry that I can't pronounce Tux's last name, who plays one of the Jedi that go to confront Palpatine, was also there and brought some super rare, like Power of the Force era figures of himself. So I was like super impressed that the talent had these things with them. For the fans to be able to purchase and buy. It was a great night. Like I got at the Buntas, I got 2 more Boba Fett signatures on my Boba Fett helmet back over here. Mark Anthony Austin and Iad Elbitar between the two. So it is a really cool kind of evening, and then the Biggs evening again ended up with our friend Sully and I think Mike, maybe from Hyperspace Props, leading a huge sabacc game, and in that they took over the back of the bar there and playing all sorts of fun. So yeah, another really cool.
Yeah, I think I got there after most of the talent had already left. I know Dickie Beers was there.
Okay, so you missed some things. So we had 3 Boba Fetts there. We had Mark Anthony Austin, John Morton, and Dickie Beer. They were super fun. Set them all together. They were, hazing each other. It was really cool. We had another room where we had Tux, and we had I think his name's Steven. He's done all sorts of things. He was one of the Imperial Guards in that same scene where they confront Palpatine, but he's still doing all sorts of stunt work and stuff to this day. He's been doubles for all sorts of people in Star Wars, and most recently Hugh Jackman's stunt double in Deadpool and Wolverine. Then we had Aiden Barton, we had Craig Miller was there, Kevin and Tracy Thompson. I will forget someone, so please,
And they have one of the ILM guys was there too. Brian, I think it was his name, or maybe that was his last name.
So we had Billy Bryan.
Yeah, I think so.
He created the Sarlacc pit, the interior of the Sarlacc pit in Book of Boba Fett, and he was inside the costume puppeteering the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in the original Ghostbusters. He had the head of Stay Puft there with him for selfies, and he's like puppeting it and stuff. It was, it was super cool.
Oh, I must be thinking of someone else then. This guy was the one that was sitting next to Hayden Barton.
The guy sitting next to
younger guy. I don't think he would be.
Oh, Fawn Davis was there.
Dave Law, him, yeah.
Fawn was there, and yes, he was an ILM guy. He worked on the prequels and a lot of that stuff. I know Fawn from he's a former creator and one of the judges now on BattleBots. Yeah, the creator of Mouser Mecha Catbot. I know that's an obscure down the rabbit hole.
If I had been there earlier, because I didn't know the Ghostbusters guy that Ghostbusters guy was going to be at Biggs, I would have gotten that picture because my friend Terrier is obsessed with Ghostbusters. It's his favorite movie ever. I would have sent that picture.
Yeah, I've got to unpack all of my autograph stuff. Not much of it, but I had the companion piece to this. Is I have like the Playmobil Ghostbusters, right? This is the thing there. But there's a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that goes with this set. So I had him sign that right across the belly there. So that was cool. And also, I love it when I find things that the talent hasn't seen. He had never signed one of those before.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then Wednesday, Mike, Mark, Kareen, me, we met up with Rick Steves and Eric Walker from the Ewok movies, and we did went to Disneyland. We walk right in, and of course Mike's like, "Look, we could take the double-decker bus to the castle." We're like, "Okay." So we get on the bus and we take pictures of everything. Mickey and Minnie were putting on a show right at the front gate there, so took pictures of that. And when we got off the bus, the tour guide took a picture of us with in front of the bus. So then Mike's like, "We got to get a picture of the tour guide." So we did. Got a picture in front of Sleeping Beauty's castle, walked through there, and I'm like, "Hey, look, there's no lines for the little kiddie rides in Fantasyland." So we did Pinocchio's Daring Journey, which for my money should be renamed Pinocchio's Scary Adventures, because that is just darkness and evil and horrible things in every room you go into. My God. It's just, oh man, I forgot how dark that story was. Then we did Snow White and Mr. Toad, and Lonnie was impressed with my driving on Mr. Toad because I didn't get us killed. I was like, "Hey, Lonnie, I brought you back from hell, so it's got to count for something." We then made our way over towards, we had a Haunted Mansion queue again, so we did that and hit Jungle Cruise and Indy in the morning, and then Big Thunder and Galaxy's Edge for the Big Falcon meetup. And that was cool because, I mean, seeing that Falcon, I'd seen it the day before, but when you see that Falcon, it's just that life-size Falcon is just the most magical thing. It'll melt your heart just seeing that. And then we had our own photo ops there, and right when our small group did our photo op, Chewbacca came out from one of the big doors there that the cast members come out of. So we immediately got up there and got our pictures with Chewie before he got swarmed by other people. Then you had the rest of the group showed up for the Big Falcon meetup. And at that point, it was almost like every man for themselves, just breaking off into their own little groups to go do stuff. I went to Oga's with Kiato and Mike, and that was really cool because I hadn't been in there before. And it's like, oh, cool, there's Rex from Star Tours, and Mike was telling me the whole history of the ride and why Rex is in Galaxy's Edge now, and I'm like trying to listen. I'm like, It's like trying to keep up with it as I'm just being impressed by how
he knows all the things, and the lore of Batuu is a real thing. I was in a panel at San Diego on the lore of Batuu. There's an entire backstory that has been written into like all of the places and all of the characters that exist in Galaxy's Edge in making that planet a real part of the Star Wars lore. There's actually a VR game that is just about to come out, I think, where you can explore some of the places you can't actually physically go on Batuu at Disney World or Disneyland. There's like another cantina, and you can enter all of that stuff, like a back room to the droid depot in the VR game. So it's all sorts of stuff that you can do. Have you ever been to Galaxy's Edge, Geo? Either coast?
No. It's up there on the list, high up there on the list, and ascending now that I'm hearing your experiences about it.
I really think so, and you've got to let us know when you can make it there, because I would
some planning.
Try and get there at the same time.
Yeah. Did you guys get a chance to do the droid depot or the saber building, or?
I was in droid depot, and I'm looking at the droids up close. They weren't as impressive, so I was initially going to do that because I wanted to, but I skipped it. I did do Savi's because I didn't have something for the saber meetup, but some of the pieces on my saber weren't working properly, and then they had to swap out the blades. So it's like, okay, it was a fun experience, but the blade is like. Most of us in the room were doing power and control because it just had such cool designs for the Sith one. We did that for the meetup. So Savi's is cool, but it's not something I would do again.
The new power and control is cool. Savi's it can be addicting. I'm sorry that you had some issues with your pieces and parts, but when you have a good collector and your saber works right the way I did it as well at a different time than Kat, and I did the elemental nature one, because I've done power and control before, but it was a really magical experience because over half of the people in there were people from our group, and a lot of people who were experiencing Savi's for the very first time. And it's a good show. It's definitely a thing you should do. Or experience at some point. Is if it's not something you think that you're going to need to do, you can find a friend who's going in building and be their observer and check it out. But yeah, I recommend Savi's, and then the way we ended up the night, past the fireworks in Galaxy's Edge and stuff like that, is getting on the Falcon. And riding the Falcon in Chewie mode with like 6 of us from the group.
Oh yeah, I got a pilot. That was fun. It's like that's the one thing I wanted to do. And Kiato's like, punch it, Chewie, and just pull back down to going into hyperspace. I'm like, okay, I'm keeping it up and down. I'm going right. Kiato's moving left and right, but he forgot to hit the boosters, so we kept getting hit by stuff along the ride. And that's still a really fun ride because there's like an actual object to it, chasing down the train, trying to blast it off the tracks, steal the coaxium, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was all our group.
Smugglers with a group of people who are actually have a concept of how to play a video game, and B, with people that are just like massively into Star Wars. We were loud and obnoxious, and the cast members had great patience with us and like really set it up for us very nicely. Got some group pictures of us at the end. It was very, very cool.
And what's really cool about that line queue is that there comes a time where you walk into the main lounge on the Millennium Falcon, life size.
Yeah.
With the Dejarg table and the where Luke does his little training with a saber, and you got to walk down the corridors past the gun turrets. And when we actually got to ride it, we actually got to ride in the actual, what would positionally be the actual cockpit going down that particular hallway, which was kind of cool. So that was really fun. I mean, God, piloting the Millennium Falcon. What Star Wars fan doesn't want to do that? That was amazing. And I also got to participate in one of Kiato's famous Kyber crystal unboxing videos. So I don't know if you've seen this, Gio, but throughout on the celebration page, for a nonstop for like nearly a year, Keanu would go to Disney and Galaxy's Edge and he'd buy like a couple Kyber crystals and he'd open it hoping to get a black crystal, and it would always be red. And I started this joke. I'm like, not this again. You need to talk about this. It's an addiction. You know, just keeping that going. It's really funny. And then finally, back in this, like in February, I think he finally got the black crystal, and he stopped collecting them for months. But then he started up again, and we're like, no, because apparently there's now a cracked crystal you can get.
Because now they have, this is the new style. They had the old style, but now there's the entire new style of crystal that has extra ones, and there are ones that are fractured, cracked crystals, and yeah.
Yes, I got to sit there in Docking Bay 7.
Just when you think you're out, they pull you right back in.
Yes, I was sitting there, and he did that video, and then he was nice and gave me both of his crystals because he already had them. And then he told me, if you do Savis, if you're doing power and control, don't get a red one because you already have a red crystal. Just get a different, color crystal. So I did. I got green. But I also made a trip to Doc Ondar's, and I got some cool stuff. I got this Jedi holocron that you could turn it on like so. Glows green. And if you pair it with a Sith holocron. But then when you bring them together, you become corrupted and turn purple.
That's neat.
All sorts of fun little toys because you can put your crystals in those, right?
You can.
I was going to say, like, yeah. So what effect do the crystals have? Is it just the color change in your custom?
I'm not sure if I didn't put it in right at first because it didn't seem to do anything, but I read the little description in the crystals and it says, oh, this one's for this. And like I have one for Cal Kestis and one for the Grand Inquisitor, but I'm not sure exactly what they do, but apparently they do different things. I'm not sure how that works. But these also came with USB cords so you could charge these whenever you want, so you don't have to do the whole battery thing, which is cool. And then I got some neat
it's good designing
resin busts here. Check out. I got one here. These can be used as paperweights or pins. Darth Vader. Let's see what else we got here. We got Palpatine.
Very nice.
Darth Maul. And my Darth Bane one I need to fix because one of the fins on the helmet broke, so I need to glue it properly. And I don't have that up here right now, but that's the other one I got. And then, the Kyber crystals that John gave me, which is cool. And I made sure when I went to Doc Ondar's that I just made a mental note of what I wanted on the first day, and that was the last thing I did in the park because that bag was heavy carrying all that stuff back.
I was going to say, yeah, you got to strategize what you're going to do and when.
Yeah, you got to really parse that out. Like
I carried around the heavy stuff like all day because I number one was carrying a lightsaber, so my daughter would have something for the meetup. I built a new lightsaber like early in the day. So I wore that on my hip most of the day. And then I was gifted a lightsaber for some, some things that had happened and some stuff I had done for one of our group members. So I was gifted a Vader lightsaber. So I was like, I know. So I'm running around with a backpack full of sabers and stuff all day long. But it was great. And then to have that stuff, I grabbed some extra blades like last minute before the lightsaber meetup and had plenty.
Yeah, I ran into Troy in Tomorrowland, and he had built his saber in the morning with everybody else, but apparently he had his stored at Droid Depot because I'll hold him for you until later. And so I ended up accompanying him tailgated from him from Tomorrowland to get back while he got his saber, and then we went to Ronto Roasters to hang out before my Savi's appointment. I was the only one in our group doing Savi's at that time because I was the only one who thought that it made more sense to get the saber right before the meetup because all the spots were still open rather than dragging it around all day.
Well, but then you got this. I mean, this was a special kind of deal. Yeah. That's our meetup. That's one of our pictures.
Oh, I can see me.
See,
I didn't see me before. Now I'd have.
So Kat can see her. I'll tell you that you can find me because see how most people are holding their sabers like straight up and down. I'm purposely holding mine horizontally in the back, so that's that blue one right in the center of the back.
I see a purple one.
I see
Well,
purple,
it may look purple in the shot, but
okay, so it's blue.
okay.
Yeah,
it's technically a blue saber, like in the middle of the back.
And if you look over, you can find me over on the right side. You see Sherry standing there with the yellow one. If you look I'm the second person to her right, or your left. You can see my sunglasses.
Truax in the orange shirt.
Yeah, right behind two people behind Truax, and I got a green saber.
Yeah. Spotted you. Oh, nice.
That was cool. And what was funny is that people were coming up to us in the park while like Troy and I were at Rontos. They're like, "Who are you guys with?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're with blah blah blah. We're this group." And like, "When are you guys doing the saber meetup? We want to see that because regular people just wanted to take pictures." Which was neat. So then when we were all taking the group pictures, because we did two of them, one at the Falcon and then one at Kylo's TIE Fighter. But there were a bunch of other just like regular fans coming and taking pictures because they loved it. And this one kid was there who had a legit dark saber, and we let him come in to stand in the picture. So that was cool. And apparently yesterday, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau were in the park. And I'm sure employees must have told them, "Oh, you should have been here last week." Because throughout the park on both days, people kept asking us, "Who are you guys with?" Because we were all wearing the jerseys, And I'm like, "Oh,
official group."
And they were being really nice to us too. Like we were with usually if you want to do the disability line, they only let the person who's disabled and their helper go to the front. Everybody else has to get in the main line. But they were so intrigued by our group, they were letting our group like cut through the line with whoever was with, so we could all be there together, which was cool for some of the attractions. I remember it was really fun to ride Indy with a bunch of like Sherry and Skip and a lot of those people for the first time. They don't have that over in Disney World.
Right.
So that was really awesome.
Oh, so it's actually a specific Indiana Jones ride.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it opened in '95. It's considered the ride which helped boost Disneyland attendance because the park attendance had been slumping for a while. It revolutionized ride technology because it's a dark ride, but the vehicle is on a gimbal, so the vehicle rocks like crazy, and most of everything you're seeing are practical effects.
Yeah.
There's a few digital projections, but not many, and you're just totally immersed in it. Like you can reach out and touch, like practically touch something if you wanted to, and it just, which is why I rank it above Rise, because I love Rise, but that's like a trackless stationary moving around. Like this is just rollicking, bouncing up and down and doing all kinds of things. And
there is a sister ride here on the East Coast. It's called Dinosaur. It's the same ride vehicle, but it doesn't feel quite as immersive as Indy does. And because like the pre-show and stuff for Indy, like literally has John Rhys Davies and they're using he recorded lines and things for that. So it's very much of a really cool ride there.
And you get to walk through like the spike chamber from Temple of Doom when you're on your way through the line queue. Yeah, and it used to be if you pulled one of the spikes would actually come up and down out of the floor, but they don't do that anymore. No. But
I've concentrated a lot on doing a lot of the things in Disneyland that you can't do here on the East Coast. There's a lot of things that are different. Big Thunder Mountain is different. It's a different ride. The track is different there. Space Mountain has different ride vehicles, and it's so much smoother in Disneyland. I'd never done Roger Rabbit before. Roger Rabbit was super fun.
That one. I didn't get to see that yet.
Yeah.
Did do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I hadn't done that before. That was all right.
Yeah, I've done that here. I don't know if I'd ever. I know. I'm pretty sure I hadn't ever done that there because I hadn't been there since they redid Toontown. Did Gadgets Go coaster? I know it's a silly little children's coaster, but they don't have it here, so I did it there.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things in Fantasyland I haven't done in a long time that I would like to do again. Like they have the storybook boats. Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland are ones that for some reason have bigger lines than the other Fantasyland rides. I haven't been on in forever. Small World, I can't even remember what It's a Small World is other than the song which drives everybody crazy. But we were supposed to, at night when we were in New Orleans Square, we were going to take the train to Toontown, but the train station was closed because they're still building the new gift shop outside Haunted Mansion. So we didn't make it back over there because Kyoto and I were going to do Roger Rabbit while other people were going to do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. But when we couldn't do that, we just did Jungle Cruise at night instead, which is really fun.
You might not have gotten on it anyway because I had to wait around forever because Roger Rabbit was down forever after the fireworks. it took a long time for it to come back up. So I went and did Runaway Railway and did Gadgets Go Coaster and kind of goofed around Toontown for a while, and then came back and it had just come up. So I was like, God.
That's the same with Space Mountain. It broke down for a while on the second day, but because Mike and Kareen have the app, they knew right when it was coming back up. So we zipped right back over to that side of the park, and we were going to get a return time, but they ended up, well, you guys can get on right now. We're like, oh, awesome. So
Again,
awesome.
Thing that you got to do is that's the thing, Gio. If you ever get the opportunity, you know, not only do you have to do Disney World, you have to do Disneyland because they're different. They're not the same.
I've done Disney World Orlando, but it's been a while, and it's before the whole Star Wars and Marvel full takeover has affected the physical landscape of the park. So that's the whole GE East and West thing. I think is cool. Having a little checklist of different rides and different experiences, like you just mentioned, sounds cool to me as well. To kind of contrast that with the old memories of Disney from way back when. So yeah, there's
the other things that
there's a lot you could jump into.
Is I go to Disney rather frequently. I had never done the Jungle Cruise at night, and that was a whole other experience.
Oh, that's so cool. Especially with certain things that come out of the water and they have the spotlights like right on it. And it just, I went there once in the summer and it was like a full moon out, and seeing the moon shining through the tree, like you were totally immersed in it, especially if it's really late at night when there aren't many people around. So it's a lot quieter and it just feels like you're like in a legit like jungle, and it's just so cool.
How late do the rides go?
In
summertime.
In summer, the park is open from 8 a.m. to midnight.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
And
California
on Wednesday, I was standing there when they dropped the rope and left. I think I hit the gate at 11:55.
Yeah, we got in maybe 8:20 and we left at about 11:45. Mike's like, Kat, let's go on Matterhorn. You wanted to do it at night while we were on our way out. I'm like, Mike, if I get on that ride right now, I will not be able to make it back to the car. But I still have my third day reserved tentatively for September 25th. So I'll probably go back down there with Mike and Corinne or something, and I'm gotta cash in on that. It's like Mike and Corinne say, it's like their clubhouse in Kyoto. They just hang out there all the time. So it was fun just getting around and doing the photo ops outside, things like the A-Wing and the X-Wing, and kind of wishing that instead of Kylo's tie, that maybe it could be Darth Vader's tie. You know, we did do a Darth Vader meet and greet, but that was over in Tomorrowland by Innovations, and the guy they had playing him was really good, so that was a plus. Yeah. And one of the funniest things that happened in the park is outside Savi's, they have the speeder bike that you could sit on for like a photo op, and so Mike took a photo of me on it, and I got off, and Corinne was about to take a photo of Mike. And right as she was about to take the photo, these two stormtroopers tapped me on the shoulder to start harassing me because I was wearing a Boba Fett backpack. And when Corinne snapped the picture, Mike turned his face to look at me, and he's like, oh, like this. And she got the picture, and it was so funny. Once I saw it, and the stormtroopers are giving me crap because I'm like, oh, Boba Fett, he's a friend of the Empire. He probably works for the First Order, right? No, he doesn't. And they're like, we need to see your identification. I'm like, you don't need to see my identification. But that didn't work. I tried that several times. Like, you're not the Jedi we're looking for. I'm like, what are you doing about two? Oh, I'm passing through. It's like, we're going to keep our eye on you type stuff. They go on to go harass other people. And when I can't remember if it was Spencer or if it was Ray who was trying to give a big speech when we did the big meetup outside Kylo's tie, the stormtroopers interrupted his big speech and started harassing him and blocking the camera. And I was standing next to somebody. They're like, hey, if we all surround the stormtroopers, we can all get them because we have all our lightsabers. But that was
it was definitely a fun time, and like we're running long, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the rest of the stuff. But even that's not all. There's more. Then some of us on the family vacation, we took a charter bus from Anaheim to San Francisco, and we had one more Boonta Eve. We had like the creators of the Star Wars universe, and we had a lot of the behind the scenes people, the digital effects, the costuming people who worked on and at Ireland's 32 in San Francisco. Really cool event. We did karaoke and signings kind of simultaneously. So again, it was loud, but the signings were upstairs in a completely separate room in a separate space. So there was a lot of really good time to sit down and hear stories from the talent. We had Lauren Vogt, who was a makeup artist who did, like, among others, Oren Frita and Ayla Secura. She was a model maker who did a lot of work on Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. She worked on Slimer from Ghostbusters. She worked on the chestburster alien from Spaceballs. She created that. I know. So it's like Star Wars adjacent, but all sorts of great stories. We had Kate Sabisher, and Kate worked on, she's currently on Tested with Adam Savage, and she's worked on a ton of Star Wars stuff. She worked on the Tumbler from The Dark Knight. Those models. Hal Hickel, Academy Award winner Hal Hickel's been on the show. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Mandalorian, like things and things and things and things. Hal had his entire demo reel playing. He had some props. He had like the lobster claw, I think from Davy Jones, maybe. Did he have no, maybe it wasn't Davy, but from the Pirates of the Caribbean, had all of those props and was just signing. Had C. Andrew Nelson. C. Andrew Nelson is one of the actors who has portrayed Darth Vader, but he also works for ILM. He's worked on a lot of the Lucasfilm games, and done mocap for Vader, a lot of appearances as Vader. He's done a lot of that sort of stuff. Bill Kimberlin also has written a book. I really wish I had my stuff unpacked. I should have done that before the show. I'm sorry. But he's got a book about working on the original trilogy. It was just absolutely fabulous, the number of people that we had there and how much they were there and talking about their experiences making the Star Wars. And then again, downstairs, all sorts of people from the family on the family vacation doing karaoke, playing sabacc, and just like taking over and completely weirding out the locals that are showing up at their local like Irish pub, going, "What the crap is going on here?" Oh, it was a great event. And that was just that day. And then you've got the next day, everybody gets up. Hal Hickel does a talk at 3210, the former ILM building. Lauren Peterson shows up randomly out of the blue. And a lot of people, like, it took a minute to figure out, like, who Lauren Peterson was. But, like, this is, like, one of the originals who made Star Wars happen. So just absolutely amazing times that were had on the vacation. Yeah, and then you wrap all that up before the bus ride back. You wrap all that up with pictures in front of the Yoda fountain at Lucasfilm. So a very fun. I was not there for that, and Kat, you weren't there for that either, right? You didn't do that.
No, it's not get on a bus for an 8-hour ride and then get on the bus for another 8-hour ride, and you're only doing two things. It's like, no, that's not worth it. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was the thing. I did the bus the one way because I had to fly out of San Francisco, so I did miss Hal's talk. Oh, and John Goodson. I totally forgot about John Goodson, who was at our San Francisco event and then back with us for some of the Northern California stuff. He was there, and John Goodson is a model maker and creator of like Ahsoka's Jedi Starship, one of the creators of the physical model of the Razor Crest, and he had one of the models of the Razor Crest there on his table. Super great. So, uh, yeah, a really good family vacation. A lot of great talent that we got to see and hang out with, and the fact that we got to meet so many family members and people that we interact with, like, who will comment on the shows when we get to do the shows live, and who are on the watch alongs and join us on Rebels Revisited and all the things. That I think is the absolute best part. And like I said, is 2 out of the 3 of us getting to meet each other in person for the first time. Next time we got to find a place where we can get you in on it too, Gio. Like let's do the 3 of us together and let's do a live show from some place. Like, I think that will be it. But yeah, I think that the things is like, next. Whoa, the weather there. So apparently the tropical storm's not done quite yet with us. But yeah, is 26 or 25 will be, of course, and hopefully some of us in Japan at Star Wars Celebration, or at the very least here talking to you and telling you about the things going on there. But when it comes time again for Family Vacation 3, look for it. Is see if you at all possible can be a part of it in some way, shape, or form. A lot of people came in for just little bits of it. Some of our people just came in for one of the buntas. Some people came in just for the Disney day and just to hang out and do all the things with all of you. I think that's the greatest part of it. That's why it is a family vacation, and that's why it's great. Anything to wrap it up there?
It was a great vacation. We should do another California vacation and have some other planning going on. Have a lot of hangouts and more not so virtual stuff, and plenty of places to hang and go exploring in SoCal in general. That would be just really fun for us to do as a group. So yeah, we gotta do that.
I think that you've hit it right there. Is having time to spend with our Star Wars family. That's going to be the greatest part of those things. And it's not exactly a family vacation, but there are a couple of opportunities for that coming up soon. Right here in August, there is going to be a pretty good contingent of people at Fan Expo Chicago. There will be a virtual Cantina meetup August 17th at 8 at the Red Bar at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare. People who are going to meet all of those Star Wars people there pictured, like largely, I think, for the man himself, Mr. Mark Hamill. And then we're going to have another meetup going later in the month there at the Colorado Springs Comic-Con at the Trinity on Garden of the Gods Road there. I'm not sure everybody who's going to be at Colorado Springs, but you can look that up. But yeah, there will definitely be a big virtual Cantina family presence. So you want some of those meetups? Those are the kind of things and places and stuff to meet up with them. And we're going to be announcing some more family meetups coming on at some other cons that are happening here in October and November and the rest of the year. So I think until the next time and until the next time we get to see and meet some of you guys in person thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
Always.
May the Force be with you all.